It's 6 o'clock. We call a meeting to order. Sarah, will you give the roll call?
Tim Whitaker, Linda Barnhart,
Present.
Eric Galt,
Here.
McKenna Norton,
Present.
Tim Lewis,
Present.
Daniel Gant,
Here.
Michael Bush,
Present.
Donald Truitt.
Okay, we do have a quorum. Have approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Goff, second Mr. Gant, to approve the agenda as submitted. Do we have anybody to speak under the sunshine law? Anybody sign up? Let the record show that there's no one to speak under the sunshine law. Approval of the meeting minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Mr. Goff, second by Mr. Gant, to accept the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any questions? Motion passes. Okay, we'll have some public hearings this evening. Willow Glen, Section 2, lots 37 through 64, and 71 through 79.
Madam President, for the first four public hearings, I'll recuse myself due to representing a member of the developer on an unrelated residential real estate matter.
Thank you. Let the record show that Mr. Bush is recusing himself for the first four.
The first public hearing tonight is a request for final plat approval. The project is Willow Glen, Section 2, lots 37 through 64 and 71 through 79. The file is 2311-373, and the developer is MDGWG Inc. The engineer is Gordon. It's located in the Mill Creek District, tax map 6, parcel 73, and is located on Middleway Pike, approximately 0.2 miles southeast of the intersection of Middleway Pike and Jaredstown Road. This final plat proposes 37 townhouse lots on 3.63 acres to be served by public water and sewer. The final plat meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends final plat approval contingent upon receipt of surety in the amount of $541,800 even, plat to be released upon receipt of surety and completed developer's agreement.
Thank you. Do we have anyone to represent the project?
My name is Mark McDonald. I'm with Integrity Federal Services representing the client.
Okay, this is a public hearing. It's your opportunity to make your questions and comments known. Ask that you come forward, state your name, your address, and any questions you might have regarding this project.
If there is no one, I move to close public hearing. Second.
Let the record show that there's no one to speak. I have a motion, Mr. Goff, second Mr. Gant, to close public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Planning Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. McDonald or of the staff?
There are no questions. I'll make a motion. We accept staff recommendation. Approve the final plat contingent upon receipt of surety in the amount of $541,800. Plat to be released upon receipt of surety and completed developer's agreement.
Second.
Have a motion with Mr. Gant, second with Mr. Goff, to accept the staff recommendation, and that is to do final plat approval contingent upon receipt of surety in the amount of $541,800. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next public hearing is Willow Glen, Section 3, lots 80 through 95 and 132 through 157.
Yes, this is a public hearing for request for final plat approval. The project is Willow Glen, Section 3, lots 80 through 95 and 132 through 157. The file is 2311-374. The developer is MDGWG Inc. and the engineer is Gordon. It's located in the Mill Creek District, tax map 6, parcel 73, and is located on Middleway Pike, approximately 0.2 miles southeast of the intersection of Middleway Pike and Jaredstown Road. This final plat proposes 42 townhouse lots on 4.97 acres to be served by public water and sewer. The final plat meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends final plat approval contingent upon receipt of a surety in the amount of $1,535,700. Plat to be released upon receipt of surety and completed developer's agreement.
Thank you. Mr. McDonald, do you represent again? Yes. Okay. Let the record show that Mr. McDonald from Integrity is representing the project. Again, this is a public hearing for this particular project. If you have questions, come forward and make your comments known.
If there are no questions, I'll move to close public hearing.
Okay. No comments from the public. Have a motion from Mr. Goff to close public hearing.
Second.
Second from Mr. Gant. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Did I hear an aye from everybody? Yeah, okay. All right, the next public hearing,
No,
huh?
You got a vote for it? Is that what that was?
That
was
was the
just a
closed
closed
public
public-
hearing, I'm sorry. Planning Commission, do you have questions?
There are no questions from planning commission. I'll make the motion. We accept staff recommendation. Grant final plat approval contingent upon receipt of surety in the amount of $1,535,700. Plat to be released upon receipt of surety and completed development agreement.
second.
Have a motion, Mr. Gant, second by Mr. Goff, to accept staff recommendation as to grant final plat approval contingent upon receipt of surety in the amount of $1,535,700. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next public hearing is Heritage Hills.
This is a public hearing for request for final plat approval. The project is Heritage Hills, Section 1, Phase 11, lots T135 through T142 and T119 through T126. The file is 2305-152. The developer is Oakwood HH LLC, and the surveyor is Roberts Land Surveying. It's located in the Arden District, tax map 10, parcel 129, and is located on Paynes Ford Road, approximately 0.22 miles west from its intersection with Kelly Island Road. This project proposes 16 townhouse lots on 11.33 acres to be served by public water and sewer. The final plat meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends final plat approval contingent upon receipt of a surety in the amount of $106,597.82. Plat to be released upon receipt of surety and completed developer's agreement.
Do we have anyone to represent the project?
Yes, Mike Roberts, represent the project.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing. It's your opportunity to make your comments known. Please come forward, state your name, your address, and any comments you might have regarding this project.
If there is no one, I move to close public hearing.
Let the record show that there is no comments from the public. Have a motion by Mr. Goff,
Second.
second by Mr. Gant to close public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Planning Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. Roberts or the staff?
There are no questions. I'll make the motion. We accept staff recommendation. Grant the final plat approval contingent upon receipt of surety in the amount of $106,597.82. Plat to be released upon receipt of surety and completed development agreement.
Have a motion by Mr. Gant to accept staff recommendation.
Second.
Second by Mr. Goff. That would be to grant final plat approval contingent upon receipt of surety in the amount of $106,597.82. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
The next public hearing is Heritage Hills, Section 1.
This is a public hearing for request for final plat approval. The project is Heritage Hills, Section 1, Phase 12, lots R313 through R324. The file number is 2305-154. The developer is Oakwood HH LLC, and the surveyor is Roberts Land Surveying. It's located in the Arden District, tax map 10, parcel 129, and is located on Paynes Ford Road, approximately 0.22 miles west from its intersection with Kelly Island Road. The project proposes 12 single-family lots on 3.2 acres to be served by public water and sewer. The final plat meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends final plat approval contingent upon receipt of a surety in the amount of $254,197.15. Plat to be released upon receipt of surety and completed developer's agreement.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
you up again? Okay. It's your opportunity to make your comments known. Please come forward.
If there is no one, I move to close public hearing.
Second.
All right, let the record show that there's no one to speak. I have a motion, Mr. Goff, second by Mr. Gant, to close public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. Roberts or the staff?
There are no questions, I'll make the motion to accept staff recommendation, grant final plat approval, contingent upon receipt of surety in the amount of $254,197.15. Plat to be released upon receipt of surety and approval of development agreement.
I have a motion by Mr. Gant to accept staff recommendation to grant final plat approval contingent upon receipt of surety in the amount of $254,197.15.
Second.
Second by Mr. Goff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let the record show that Mr. Bush has rejoined the meeting. The next public hearing is Sheets 143 Enwood.
This is a public hearing for a request for waiver. The project is Sheets 143 Inwood. The file is 2212-366. The developer is Sheets Inc. and the engineer is Stifler, McGraw and Associates. It's located in the Mill Creek District, tax map 6K, parcel 3, and is located at the intersection of Winchester Avenue and Middleway Pike. The developer is proposing the demolition of the existing sheet store and redevelopment of a new 6,132 square foot sheet store with 5 gas pumps. The site's approximately 1.1 acres and will be served by public water and sewer. The developer is requesting waivers to the following requirements of the subdivision ordinance. Section 503B requiring a 75-foot front setback, 15-foot side setback, and 25-foot rear setback. Section 504E, which requires a maximum impervious coverage of 80% for commercial sites served by public water and sewer. And Section 801.1.6.c, requiring a minimum 10-foot vegetative planting strip between any parking area and street right-of-way. The proposed setback encroachment is an improvement compared to the existing canopy and building. Secondly, the proposed impervious coverage of 84% is a reduction from the existing 91%. And lastly, the proposed curb lines are set back further from the right-of-way than the existing curb lines. Although 3 waivers are being requested, the proposed remodel of the existing sheets would make the site more compliant than it currently is. Therefore, staff recommends approval to the following waiver request. Section 503B requiring a 75-foot front setback, a 15-foot side setback, and 25-foot rear setback. Section 504E, which requires a maximum impervious coverage of 80% for commercial sites served by public water and sewer. And Section 801.1.6.c, requiring a minimum 10-foot vegetative planting strip between any parking area and street right-of-way.
Thank you. Do we have anyone to represent the project?
Eric Banks with Stifler, McGraw and Associates.
I'm sorry, your last name again?
Banks.
Bex? Okay. This is a public hearing. If you have questions or comments regarding this project, please come forward and make those known at this time.
I'm Joe Lusk, and my mother lives 50 feet from Sheets. She owns her lot, and then I own the lot next to her. So we're 50 feet away from this site. And honestly, I didn't realize how big those waivers were way back when, but that's an awful big building on that little lot. So we would oppose it at this point until the traffic study is complete, particularly given the limited space between the traffic that's currently using West Lane as a public access and the building itself. Sheets assumes no responsibility whatsoever for maintaining any aspect of that private alley or public alley, whichever it is, that goes behind them. And the highway department assumes no responsibility whatsoever for maintaining that. The residents on the other side of Sheets have no authority whatsoever to restrict that public traffic that's going through there. And it's not only huge commercial building vehicles, it's all kind of personal vehicles that use that routinely. West Lane is only 15 feet wide, but there's traffic going in both directions through there, and I can't stop it. And then finally, I think there should be an environmental study for noise pollution and air pollution. I think this is the 3rd building that's been on that lot. First, there was a smaller one, closer to 51. Then they bought out some more residential houses, demolished that one, and put the current one up there. You couldn't be out in the backyard and breathe for the dust blowing across that parking lot. And they gave us a coupon for a free sandwich. We were a whole lot younger then than to go through that again. But I understand this is just a public hearing to bring these things out. I think I understand there's also a highway traffic study going on, which really, that west lane that connects with preschool, they either need to be public or they need to be private. But the way it is right now, everybody's claiming they're public, all your traffic can go through there. And if they get stuck there with two of the roads going opposite directions, well, they just pull over on my lot. And if a huge construction vehicle goes through there, and they have, and tear a limb out of a tree, somehow that limb is blocking the lane and somebody piles it over on my lot. And that's my problem again. That whole corner has outgrown the infrastructure. The traffic has blown through everything. I don't know how the highway department got away without it putting a circle at that light. Other than they already had public access down West Lane over to Preschool Drive. So I think it's just some broader things to consider, that there are still some personal residents out there. I've also heard that schoolhouse across the road is one of the oldest in the county. So I really wouldn't want the school board tearing that down and sheets down at the same time. I think there's a pretty big impact if both those would be going on at the same time. I sent an email and I don't really need.
We have it.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else wish to speak regarding Sheets remodeling?
If there is no one else, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, let the record show that there is no one else to speak. Have a motion by Mr. Goff, second by Mr. Gant, to close public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. I will tell you that this is just a first presentation to the Planning Commission. It's just a pre-up. There's a fair amount of other documents that need to be put in place. And I'm sure that our staff will see that they comply.
Mr. Banks, as part of the waiver, particularly on the north side of the property, can you talk about what sort of fencing or screening is contemplated there? Just thinking about the adjacent parcel.
So you're referring to this property right here?
Correct.
Currently, we don't have anything proposed at that location. There is a trash enclosure which would serve as a screen, but we could propose a fence there.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about how would you otherwise stop headlights or something from shining on the adjacent
We could
parcel?
either do vegetation or fence. Fence is preferred, would probably be the best option to block it out.
Yeah.
Mr. Bush, that is a commercial property right adjacent to the site.
Okay.
So we wouldn't require any buffer or screening, but obviously, like, if you want to add it, more the merrier for us.
Okay.
That's just, we just didn't require it.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you.
And I'd like to point out, we are eliminating the access along West Lane moving forward. So there'll be no access to the sheet site on the West Lane.
Eric and I met this week. We had a video call and we talked about West Lane and if Sheets was to move forward with using it, we would have asked for some sort of maintenance agreement and maintenance along the portion that they would utilize. West Lane was platted along with Preschool Lane and all those other lots back in 1961. There's no HOA, there's no maintenance agreement for West Lane. Obviously, DOH isn't going to take those roads over because they're just not going to take any roads over right now. But we thought for the best, I guess, traffic solution there at the corner would just for West Lane to be cut off from the Sheets, try to utilize that It's like, what, 50 feet between each entrance. And DOH didn't require any type of updated traffic study with this site.
They
They've
consider
already,
the traffic the same, so there will be no traffic.
The DOH considers that not to garner additional traffic, is that what you're saying?
Yes, they
That's what they're-
consider the trip generations from existing to down the same. We questioned some turn lanes, but DOH did not see fit that they needed to be added. So there will be no traffic.
Okay.
Can I ask you clarification on that? All you're gonna do is keep traffic from coming on West Lane and this one. All that traffic can still go.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
that's correct. Their entrance onto 51 will exist. Their parking lot won't be connected to West Lane to where people will pull into West Lane to go north or south from there.
How are you gonna keep the work? They're gonna park on my lot. My little place is my father's lot. He's on Congress and my dad lives in
We obviously can't predict how people are gonna, use West Lane. The only thing we can do is restrict access onto the site, to not encourage people to use West Lane. So by blocking off that access, over probably a couple of weeks, people are still gonna believe that there's an entrance there, but more likely learn that the entrance is closed off and quit using West Lane and use the main access over the sheet site.
1961 sound about right?
It's the plat. I looked at the plat this morning. It's 1961. All those inwood lots were platted then, the
Okay.
preschool lane or preschool court.
Okay,
so.
if we're gonna have additional questions and dialogue, maybe you can have those after the meeting because we have closed the public hearing. Planning Commission members, do you have questions that you'd like to ask, or do you have any comments?
Madam President, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay,
I move staff recommendation for approval of the following three waiver requests for the 75-foot front setback, 15-foot side setback, 25-foot rear setback, waiver number 2 to 504.E, and waiver number 3 to 801.1.6.C.
I have a motion by Mr. Bush to accept the staff recommendation, that is to grant the three waivers that have been requested.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Gant. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion closes.
Thank you.
The next public hearing is Beddington Energy Facility.
Yeah, this is a public hearing for request for sketch plan advancement. The project is Beddington Energy Facility. The file is 2309-313, and the developer is Beddington Energy Facility LLC. The engineer is Greenway Engineering. The project's located in the Falling Waters District, tax map 14, parcel 34, and the Apecan District, tax map 3, parcel 12, and tax map 7, parcels 15, 16, and 96. This project's located at the east side of Williamsport Pike and north of Beddington Road, and another area that is west of Berkeley Station Road and north of Railroad Drive. This project proposes a 100 megawatt solar generation facility on approximately 1,425 acres. The area of disturbance for the solar arrays is approximately 790 acres. This is the same site which was previously approved under file 2102-082, with the exception of the additional area near Berkeley Station and Railroad Drive. That's why they came back in for another sketch, since they added that area. At the April 5th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting, the developer was granted a waiver to section 501.2H of the subdivision ordinance requiring a 50-foot setback from any railroad right-of-way, reducing the railroad setback from 50 feet to 5 feet. On February 7th, 2024, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The sketch plan meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends advancement of the sketch plan to the preliminary plan stage.
Okay, do we have anyone to represent the project?
Zach Judy with Greenway Engineering.
I'm sorry, your first name?
Zach.
Zach, okay. Okay, this is a public hearing. It's your opportunity to make your questions known.
There are no public comments. I move to close public hearing.
Okay, let the record show that there is no public comments. I have a motion by Mr. Goff, second by Mr. Gant, to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Planning Commission members, how about you? Do you have questions?
This is the solar panel project, right?
Yes, sir.
This is on two separate sites?
Yeah,
Yes, and then the substation is over here where Bennington Station is, you know. They're gonna cable across to go to the substation over there.
I was under the impression that that rebar facility was going on this site, but.
It is,
It's right beside
it's right beside.
Okay, because I used to live on that road, and that's, I've heard that it was going there.
So on the site plan, the area that's cut out, that's CMC's state. So it'll be
That's
around it.
still-
Okay, right there.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now I understand. That's all I have.
If there are no further questions, Planning Commission members, can we have a motion?
We'll make a motion to accept staff recommendations, sketch plan, meet the requirements of subdivision ordinance. Advance the sketch plan to preliminary plan stage.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gant, second by Mr. Bush. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. The next public hearing is Enwood Storage Company.
This is a public hearing for request for sketch plan advancement. The project is Inwood Storage Company, file 2206-175. The developer is Jerry Tabb and the engineer is Integrity Federal Services. It's located in the Mill Creek District, tax map 9, parcel 68, and is located at 36 Runnymede Road, approximately 500 feet from its intersection with Winchester Avenue. The developer is proposing a 3,000 square foot general retail store on 1.97 acres to be served by public water and sewer. No waivers or exceptions have been requested. On February 12th, 2024, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The sketch plan meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends advancement of the sketch plan to the preliminary plan stage.
Okay, do we have anyone to represent the Enwood Storage Company?
Mark McDonald with Integrity.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Your opportunity to make your questions or comments known.
If there is no one, I move to close public hearing.
Second.
Let the record show that there is no one to speak from the public. I have a motion by Mr. Goff, second by Mr. Gant, to close public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Planning Commission members, how about you? Do you have questions of Mr. McDonald or the staff?
Just one question. Is this the lot just west of the railroad tracks, going down that hill? Yes. Isn't there a facility on there now that?
Yeah, that was, part of it was done without a permit, without approval. There was a wall constructed in the floodplain. So all that's gonna come out and it'll all be for us. It'll be a beautiful site.
Okay.
The ducks will love it.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have no other question.
No more questions, I'll make the motion to accept staff recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gant, second by Mr. Goff, to accept staff recommendation, and that is to grant sketch plan approval, move it forward to the preliminary plan stage. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Thank you. have one program left, or one project left for public hearing, that's Marlowe Solar.
Yes, this is a public hearing for a request for sketch plan advancement. The project is Marlowe Solar, and the file is 2309-296. The developer is First Energy, and the engineer is Burns and McDonald. The project's located in the Falling Waters District, tax map 7, parcel 186, and is located on Williamsport Pike, approximately 0.70 miles south of its intersection with Ripple Way. The developer is proposing a solar generating station on approximately 296 acres. The limit of disturbance for this area is 33 acres. No waivers or exceptions have been requested. On February 13th, 2024, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The sketch plan meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends advancement of the sketch plan to the preliminary plan stage.
Thank you. Do we have anyone to represent the project?
Caleb Boglins, First Energy.
Thank you.
And Elizabeth Sandreth, First Energy.
Okay. This is a public hearing. It's your opportunity to make your comments known. I'd ask that you come forward and make those at this time.
If there is no one, I move to close public hearing.
Second.
Let the record show that there is no comments. I have a motion, Mr. Goff, second, Mr. Gant, to close public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing's now closed. Planning Commission members, how about you? Do you have questions?
There are no questions. I'll make the motion. We accept staff recommendation. Sketch plan meets requirements of subdivision ordinance. Therefore, advance the sketch plan to preliminary plan stage.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gant, second by Mr. Goff, to accept staff recommendation, and that is to move the sketch plan forward to the preliminary plan stage. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we have a staff council discussion action motion, the Lakes of Martinsburg.
Yes, so this is a request for final plat approval. This project was tabled at the November 6, 2023 meeting. The project is Lakes at Martinsburg, Section 1, Phase 7, lots 188 through 194. The file is 2212-367. The developer is Banbury Holdings LLC, and the engineer is Integrity Federal Services. It's located in the Apecan District, tax map 2, parcel 35, and is located along Weaver Lane, approximately half a mile west of its intersection with Williamsport Pike. This final plat proposes 7 single-family lots on 1.6 acres to be served by public water and sewer. The final plat meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends final plat approval contingent upon receipt of a surety in the amount of $55,008 even. Plat to be released upon receipt of surety and developer's agreement.
Thank you. Do we have anyone to represent the Lakes of Martinsburg?
Make a motion to untable it first.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, Steve Mathias with Bowles Rice, and I believe we have several other representatives here. Ryan Parks of IFS, Sandy Zamota of GTA, and Rick Fink of Nicely Properties. And just so you know, a report was submitted for your consideration, and I would request that you look at the executive summary at the bottom of Roman numeral I.
Okay. I'd like to have a motion to please untable the project for further discussion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gant, second by Mr. Goff to untable the project so we can have an open discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the project's open for discussion. Mr. Mathias has given us his brief summary. We have, if you looked at it, a 40-page geotechnical report, which I'm sure everyone has looked at. We also have our engineer's comments regarding that report. So I'd like to open the project for discussion by the Planning Commission if you have questions, and if not, then we're moving on.
Mr. Mathias, did you say Mr. Zamota is present?
I was told he was going to be
Could I ask a question, sir? Your technical expertise is greater than mine on these items. Sure, please. Thank you for coming.
Let's just get to your name.
Andrew Zamota.
Okay, thank you.
So as I review the report, there's lots of information in here, which is great. Harkening back to the prior meeting, though, there were concerns about the amenity ponds, or the ponds that were platted as amenity ponds, not retaining water. And the outcropping of that meeting was that additional research would be determined to see what, if anything, can be done to make those ponds function as they were designed. As I read this report, there's lots of information saying that there are certain features present. We found more features. The features that originally existed still exist. But I never see a conclusion that the ponds are operating as they should. And I don't see any action items that can be taken by the developer to make those ponds operate as they should. Is that a fair summary of your report?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's it.
I could just follow up his answer. I believe he was charged with evaluating possible sinkhole issues, and that's what he did. And that's what he addressed, and that's why it was tabled. I would also add, I think the issues you're referring to are part of another litigation involving the HOA, and that those are being addressed by the parties in that litigation and will be addressed, and whatever's determined needs to be done will be done.
As far as amenity ponds not holding water, if it's in karst fire, could any line it?
Well, that becomes the whole question, was this report didn't even go that far, which was, let me analyze the rest of the ponds. And you have to analyze the embankments at least up to the pool elevation. So the only other thing that I would go to is the plaque that we have before us tonight. The only question is, do any of the karst features that turned up in this latest report, are they on here anywhere? That would be the only other question. That has to comply with our current ordinance, which has been in place since '09, for all the conditions of karst features. It's all laid out there. Utility plugs in the trenches, every 25 feet within the buffers, 100-foot buffer, 50-foot buffer, a geotechnical review and sign off for the buildings that are in the 100-foot buffer.
Has there been, from any party present, has there been any analysis as to any stormwater impact from these proposed final plat 7 lots as to the ponds as they exist in their current state? Does it make stormwater better? Does it make it worse?
Are you talking runoff?
Yes.
For runoff, they need all the water they can get to keep the pool elevation safe. From that standpoint, I mean, it's okay. The only question would be if there's any sinkholes or whatever, would they exacerbate? That's, as you've seen in the report, they didn't identify that much within the current pond. The question would come back, the sinkhole that did occur earlier in the year or last year, was that caused by water seepage? More than likely, yes. So the question becomes: is the lining sufficient? In most karst sites, everything's lined. The geotechnical is required.
Ryan Perch from Integrity Federal Services, the civil engineer for the project. In regards to the question, the 7 lots are factored into the stormwater pond design for both quantity and quality.
On the original plat, or again, a current analysis or original analysis?
From the original analysis.
in my opinion, without any significant evidence to the contrary, that these 7 lots, the additional impervious will adversely impact stormwater management. I don't really see much cause for holding up the final plat of these 7 lots, but I do think that the report brings up issues and additional questions without resolution, and I think the developer, should, think about the next phase of this development. That I think there's going to be some great scrutiny on these ponds as they're platted as amenity ponds. So I don't know that conversation is best had with these 7 lots, but I think certainly the next phase of this project has to take a hard look at that, and hopefully the issues corrected between now and then would be my hope, so that we can just put this to bed.
You're correct. We anticipate staff making that an issue, and we're prepared to work with them and discuss that, and anticipate having to do that in the future phases. Right now, we're only talking about 7 lots, and so your point's well taken, and that's the intent of the developer.
Thank you.
Additional questions, commission members?
There are no further questions. I'll make a motion to accept staff recommendation. Final plat meets the requirements of subdivision ordinance. Therefore, final plat approval contingent upon receipt of surety in the amount of $55,008. Plat to be released upon the surety and the developer's agreement.
I have a motion by Mr. Gant to accept staff recommendation. That is to grant final plat approval contingent upon surety in the amount of $55,008. Do I have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bush. Other questions? Planning Commission members, do you have additional questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Mr. Legal, do you have anything you want to bring up? How's the commission doing on revision of the subdivision regulation?
You have to ask somebody.
He's not here to answer it.
I've already submitted what we have done so far. We did all our meetings with people who wanted input on all the meetings.
All the meetings.
Okay.
The Saturdays.
Okay.
The evenings.
If you will recall, about a month ago, I asked the commission's representative what was going on, and he told us that it was going to be put on the agenda.
Well, I mean, the only thing I know is that they have Board of Equalization review and budget meetings, so I don't know. That's why they haven't got it on there. The last discussion that I was aware of as far as the next phase was going to be for them to have open work sessions, basically, to talk about it with us.
But they haven't scheduled that yet?
I haven't been told that it's not on.
Could I put the onus on you to remind them tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just asking you to remind
There was
them.
one thing that we probably will be adding or trying to get in there at the last minute, is we have been asked to put a section on there, in there for the solar arrays. Everybody around us has ordinances in place. Everybody around us has a stormwater methodology. So.
And decommissioning.
And decommissioning, so the stormwater piece can be added to the stormwater ordinance. It's already, I could do an addendum. This
Found
here,
some language too for.
yeah, we
can
found
send
a lot
to you
of,
guys.
we found a lot of good stuff. And Laura and I just need to pull it together from several counties, states all around us. Loudoun County really kind of had probably the best ordinance piece. Maryland has the best hydraulic method, which is what I've been using for the ones that are just through.
Well-
It's just we don't have it written down, not a specific, you know what I mean?
We just got asked about it on Thursday.
Well, as we see more and more conscious efforts to garner power, it is important that we listen to these comments for the solar. If we had wind, we'd be looking at windmills. So, the effort.
There's some different things in there, like solar easements for majority owners.
Yeah.
That was a new one, but in other words, somebody could build a building and block your light. Right. So I was just, you don't really think of it.
Yeah, there's just stuff.
It's a
we
new
never-
paradigm for us.
Yeah. I think as we move forward, as a progressive county, we are going to be challenged with those things in the future. And I think it's a good idea that you go ahead and get something in there now, and maybe by the time the commission gets it on their workshop schedule, we will have an ordinance by the end of this year.
Let's hope.
If there's nothing else, I'm ready for an adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Goff at 6:46 to adjourn. Second by Mr. Gant. Thank you so much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?